Good morning, guys. So, in our last session, we have done with the database and some migration task. So, did you get any chance to perform those tasks, guys? So, if not, please spare some time and make sure you complete all those tasks, right? Um, and if you are facing any difficulty, please post that in our Slack channel. So, here in today's session, we are going to start with the security services. So, when coming to the security services, so the first service for the security is CloudTrail. So the first service is CloudTrail. So we already know what exactly this CloudTrail is. We will go bit in detail about this CloudTrail now. Right. So CloudTrail is a logging service for our AWS account. So basically this CloudTrail not only supports AWS account, it even supports AWS organizations as well. So AWS organization is nothing but group of AWS accounts. A group of AWS accounts, we can call it as a AWS organization. So we can centrally manage all those accounts. Right. So here we can use this CloudTrail to centrally log in. So this is one of the important certification question for your solution architect exam. So whenever you have multiple AWS accounts, so we use CloudTrail, we are going to have a central logging account. So that logging account we are going to use for store the logs. So that is a CloudTrail. So now under management and governance, you can find this CloudTrail. Here is a CloudTrail. So for example, something happened in your AWS environment. So you need to verify who did that, what exactly they did, when they did that. So those all things, again, we are going to depend on logging service only, right? See, OS level, no, we cannot monitor. But console level operations, yes. For example, launching an EC2 instance, yes, CloudTrail will get that information. Terminating an EC2 instance, yes. Creating a security group, creating an IAM user, creating an S3 bucket, yes. But within the operating system, on top of your desktop, you have a file, someone deleted that. So that information is not going to be monitored or logged by CloudTrail. That is an important thing. So this CloudTrail will monitor all AWS activities, AWS information, not the OS level or instance level things. So it's a logging service within AWS environment. So by defaultly, this is enabled in every account. Enabled by defaultly in all accounts, and it stores last 90 days activities or logs. By default, it stores the log retention period is a 90 days. So after 90 days, what happened? Like, the log is going to delete. So, but I have an option, I have a requirement that as per compliance requirement, I want to keep last 1 year logs. So if something happened, I want to go back and I want to inspect what exactly happened, exactly one year back also. So for that, by default, it enable and it is storing last 90 days only. So what we can do, we can create a trail. And we can store logs in S3 bucket for unlimited days. If required, we can apply bucket lifecycle delete the logs after certain days. So let's jump in and let's try to perform that. So we are going to create a trail and we need to choose an S3 bucket. Instead of 90 days, it is going to store all the logs in S3 bucket for unlimited days. So then if you want to delete all the logs after 1 year, how we can? So manually navigating and deleting, that is not possible. So you can go and apply a lifecycle management role, so that whatever the object created, that object lifetime is 365 days older, then you can trigger to delete it for current versions. So if you enable uh, versioning, you can apply for previous versions also, right? So technically we are going to have last 1 year based on our requirement here. So this is also one of the certification question you can expect, right? So now here I've logged into cloud, my AWS account and CloudTrail. One second, this is how exactly a trail looks like. So we have enabled a trail and it is going to store. It is enabled with data and all. So let me show you how to get that. So now I'm in the dashboard, and if you want to see last 90 days activities, here you can find event history. So if you want to filter all the last 90 days activities, go and click on event history. Whenever you click on this event history, it is going to show you all the activities happened. So you can filter, okay, what happened in last 1 hour, last 3 hours, last 12 hours, like, what exactly happened, that you can find it here. And if you want to, for example, you want to filter by using a particular event. So for example, um, so you want to see how many pipelines we have, we can go here and you can filter the timeline, like, from last 6 months, what exactly. So if any activity is related to that, for example, you want to see something related to instance, assign instance, attach instance, add instance group, add role to instance profile. So these all related to instance. For example, you want to see bucket activities. So these all related to bucket. So create bucket, anything happened, like, in last 12 weeks, event name. So we created a bucket on March 24th. So the username, who created that? CLI user created that. So what is the resource name? This is the bucket name. On March 19th, so Avinash underscore the user, what he did, he created avinash.elb bucket. So again, March 12th, we created a bucket avinash.test123. So you can go and you can see what exactly happening here. So click, if you want to get in, like, if you are looking for more details about that, click on that. So then what is the event name, who created that, from what IP address he did that, right? So then what is the S3 bucket and the resource name and the same information, like, in JSON format. So similarly, you can take any event name based on your requirement, you can get that. And not only that, event source, who did that, what did that. If you want to filter only, for example, you want to filter only read-only operations, you can give it true. It is even going to filter all the read-only operations. So that means even every single refresh, if you give a refresh, yes, that is going to be logged and it is going to write here after 10 minutes, right? Every single thing is going to be monitored. So if you are looking for only write operation, you can just go and give it here. So it will show you whether it is a read operation or write operation. So username, for example, I want to see what this Avinash underscore T user is performing um, from last. I have not performed anything from last 48 hours in this account, from last 6 days. Apply. So see, this is what he is performing, everything. So from 9th to 12th, not perform anything. So on 9th, what I did, I have launched an EC2 instance, light sail instance, then I launched an Beanstack instance, I went to S3, I went to EC2, right? So everything it is showing here. what exactly we perform. If you want to download, you can go here, you can download it in CSV format file, or you can download as a JSON format file. Everything, but whatever the filter you have given, it is going to download. And so now I decided to store these logs for unlimited days. Whenever we decided to store these logs for unlimited days, we can navigate to trails and click on create trail. So basically we have total three types of trail: management events, data events, and insight events. So based on our requirement, we need to choose the required one. Like, so give a trail name, my demo trail. So this creating a trail is going to cost us. Okay. So now scroll down, enable for all accounts in my organization. So I will take you through this, what exactly AWS organization in our coming session. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'll definitely take you through that. Okay. So if you're using AWS organization, whenever you have multiple accounts, then you can use this feature. So related to all the accounts, how many accounts? Here you can find my organization. Go there, in that my organization. So here you can see these all are the accounts I have here. So related to these accounts, logging also is going to store within this bucket, and this bucket is going to create within that bucket all the three AWS account information is going to store. Okay, so if you want to use an existing bucket, yeah, you can just go here. I want to store all the logs here in this particular bucket. I can go and I can choose that bucket. So we can create a new bucket, or we can choose an existing bucket. So if you don't want to enable it for all the accounts, you just want to store logs related to this particular account only, then you can go and you can uncheck this option. Right? If you want to see all accounts, here, click here, it will show you all accounts. And now, so log file SSC KMS encryption. So we are storing all the logs in this bucket. So for security reasons, if you want to enable encryption for that particular logs, we can enable it. Then we can choose what encryption key we want to use. Right? What is the KMS key name you want to keep? I really don't want to encrypt, but generally we are going to encrypt the logs. And log file validation. So basically this log file validation gives, like, a feature like, for example, you have enabled all the logs and you're storing all the logs in an S3 bucket. So after some time, one user performs something. And what happened that user immediately realized he did a mistake, and he know where the CloudTrail logs are stored. Then he went to that bucket and he have deleted log related to that. So whenever any log file is altered or modified, so then we can use this log file validation option. Whenever this is enabled, it will tells us, it will create a digest file and also what are the things modified. So who altered that, then we will come to know. So most of the times we are going to enable this log file validation. And whenever any log is created, if you want to get a notification, you can choose this SNS, and to what SNS topic you want to get notifications. You can select that. Never ever do this. Your inbox is going to fill up with n number of the emails, hundreds, thousands of the emails. If you go here, if you give a refresh, it is listing all the buckets, right? So you are going to get notification for listing the buckets. So I'm not going to enable that. And instead of this S3 bucket, if you want to store these logs in CloudWatch logs option, you can go and enable this. So what is a log group name? So if you want to choose an existing log group, you can get that log group name here, right? So very less scenarios we use that. And tagging you can get, then click on next. Now we need to choose the event type. The first one is a management event. So management event, it basically, the management event capture management operations performed on your AWS resources. So all the console level activity, data events, when coming to this data, it is for our resources level, like only two resources it supports. One is S3 and second one is Lambda. All activities related to S3 and Lambda is going to be stored in this data events. You have an S3 bucket and you want to enable logging. You have multiple S3 buckets, you want to enable logging. And in future, you are going to create some S3 bucket. For that also, automatically you want to enable logging. When a new bucket comes, you really don't want to go and you don't want to enable it bucket level. Entire platform level, you want to then go and select this management event. Sorry, data event. Management event, all the regular activities on the console. This is not going to cost us anything. But data events and all, yes, it is going to cost us. One thing observe, when I selected this data event, see here, what is a data event? Data event source, either S3, Lambda or DynamoDB. This is recently added. S3, DynamoDB and Lambda. I'm not aware about that, just now see. So S3, Lambda, DynamoDB, these three. So what operations you want to? I selected S3. So current and future buckets. I want to log read operation as well as write operation. Where do you want to store the bucket we selected in our previous console? So related to entire S3 platform. For example, if you don't want to enable for entire S3 platform, you have some particular buckets. Then uncheck these things. Uncheck these, then go and choose the bucket. Okay, I want to enable logging for these two buckets. Then click on choose. So we selected multiple buckets. We are storing read and write operation. Right. So if you want to select another bucket, you can go and browse and you can get that. So most of the times we are going to give all read and write operation for all the current bucket and the future buckets. Similarly, you want to enable for Lambda in all the regions, all the functions, we can choose that. Or else if you have any function in a particular region, you can go and you can select that particular region also. So basically, related to this particular services, we can enable log and we can store it in that. So that is data event. Insight events, basically it is introduced recently. If any unusual activity is happening in our AWS, it is going to be logged here. Identify unusual activity or errors or user behavior in your account. That is going to be logged in this insight events. So these are the three event types we have. And at organization level, we are going to create a trail for every event type. So best practice is recommended to create a trail for every event type. So for management event, yes, create one. For data event, yes, create one. For insight event also, create one. Right? So that is another one. And another certification question on this one is um, another certification question. So that is, you have an external auditor. So that external auditor required to inspect all your AWS account and he need logging of all the AWS accounts. How you are going to provide? So then he is going to give some options like uh, provide create an IAM user in every account and share it with admin permissions, or give root credentials of your AWS account, or another option is enable logging of all your AWS accounts and store all the logs into centralized S3 bucket. Provide read-only access to the S3 bucket only. Why? Because he is an external auditor. He is not your organization user. As he is an external auditor, so when he need access on your AWS environment, so we don't create IAM user and we don't provide. So store all the logs into an S3 bucket, give that S3 bucket to him. So that is a recommended one. And I'll mention that one also For external audits, create a central bucket and store all the logs in that central bucket and deliver it to external auditor. So this is also important certification question. So just select that, scroll down, click on next, review screen. Whenever you click on create, all the logs are going to stored in S3 bucket, nothing more than that. So you will get logs like this, AWS logs, 12-digit account ID, and here the region, then year, then month, then date, and you can find all the logs here. So we are going to get logs in similar format. So that is a CloudTrail option. And do we have any tools to analyze this CloudTrail? Yes, we have Amazon Athena to query the CloudTrail logs. So we can, whenever you go to this event history, so we have an option create Athena table. Go and create the Athena table. Where do you want to, like, storage location? So whenever we enable trail, it is going to then create a table. So we are going to get a Athena table. So basically Amazon Athena uses Hadoop framework. So how exactly you run the SQL queries to see all the logs and all, you can do that. And we have many external tools also. For example, Cloud Checker. So Cloud Checker is a tool where it gives visibility about the AWS. So we need to provide all the logs, CloudTrail logs to this Cloud Checker, and it is going to give visualization on all our resources, whether our resources are HIPAA compliance or not. So such type of all visualizations we are going to get. So this is one of the example. Datadog also. Datadog also one of the example. We can monitor the cloud by using CloudTrail. So you can try this free trial eligibility also. And we are going to get such type of graph here. We can use Splunk also. So we can use Splunk also. So these are some tools where we can use to analyze all the CloudTrail logs. So we can use Datadog, Cloud Checker, and Splunk to analyze the CloudTrail logs. We have n number of the tools. We have n number of the tools. Those are some widely used ones, right? So if you perform any mistake in your AWS, uh, you know, accept it. Why? Because everything is going to be logged, right? So this is all about the CloudTrail. And any questions on this CloudTrail for me, guys? So my ISAM InnoDB, basically that is a DB thing within database. We can find that, but I've never come across any questions on that, Ravi. So can you share that question? I'll definitely take a minute and I'll look into that.
Yeah, sure, Avinash.
Yeah. So I know that is supported database 5.5. After that, I'm not sure it's not available. So it's a storage engine, how the database is going to store all the data and all. So please share that. I'll definitely take a minute and I'll go through that and I'll explain you.
Yeah, sure. I will take a a
Yes.
screenshot. I will share in this Slack channel,
Yeah.
Avinash.
Please do that. So any questions on this CloudTrail? So we completed the module wise topics, guys. Now all are individual services, right? So along with CloudTrail, we have another service called AWS Config. So basically this AWS Config works along with the CloudTrail. Whatever the logs we have in CloudTrail, this AWS Config is going to take all the logs and it is going to, like, give timeline, compliance timeline and configuration timeline for our AWS resources. For example, we have an IAM user. So that user initially created with S3 read-only permissions. But recently you observed he have AWS admin access. Now you want to see who did that, when that, role change happened and all. You want to see that information. So in that case, we can use AWS config. So to get that configuration timeline, and in organization we are going to have some compliance standards. Compliance standard means you should never share any S3 bucket to public users. So you should never make any database DB snapshot to publicly accessible. So, but someone did that. Then what do you want to do? You want to treat such type of resources as a non-compliant resource. See, generally we are going to have some uh, standards or compliances, right? For example, your environment is PCI DSS compliant or not. So your environment is HIPAA standard or not. So if you're taking organization CMM level 4, 5, 3, right? So whenever they are matching particular standard, then we are going to call it as a CMM of that particular standard. So similarly, if you have some resource and that resource should particularly maintain that standard, then we can use this AWS config. So again, from where it is going to take all the logs? It is going to take all the logs from CloudTrail only. So we are going to get a dashboard for this config and it is going to cost us, guys. It cost us, please don't enable this. It is going to cost us. So now navigate to AWS config. See, config gives you inventory of AWS resources and lets you audit resource configuration history, notifies you when resource configuration changes. Let's click on that config. Click on the config, and whenever you navigate to this for the first time, it will give you a small wizard where you need to enable this AWS config. I'll show you how exactly that looks like. So this is config dashboard. You will land into this. So click on get started. Now, so do you want to record all the resource changes in this particular region, including global resources like, IAM is a global resource, S3 is a global resource, Route 53 is a global resource, such type of resources. If you want to, you can select that. And where do you want to store all this? Logs related to this config, then you can choose a bucket. And when any log got created, if you want to stream that to SNS, you can select that. Never ever do that. Your inbox is going to fill up with thousands of the emails. So we are going to choose an existing role for that, or you can choose a role from. So click on use an existing role option. Click on next. Now, these are all these standard rules given by Amazon config. So, for example, so you have a certificate, SSL certificate. That SSL certificate generally it is going to expire for every 1 year. When SSL certificate is expired, before 14 days onwards, you want to get notification. So then you choose this. So you no need to worry about it. So whenever that certificate is about to expire, we are going to get notification. Okay, when you have an AWS account, and within that AWS account, you created a CloudTrail, but you forgot to enable log file validation for that CloudTrail. If you select this particular role, it tells us, okay, you have this CloudTrail, but you haven't enabled log file validation for the trail. It will tell us. So we are setting a standard. Whatever the trails which is creating in my AWS account, it should be encrypted. If any resource, any CloudTrail resource is not encrypted, it will tell me, okay, this resource is a non-compliant resource. Where it is going to show? We are going to get a such type of console. Here it shows, okay, this resource is a compliant, this resource is a non-compliant. Here it shows. So when you click on non-compliant resource, okay, this trail is not enabled with that particular feature. Then when we will get that, whenever we select this option, then it will validate. And not only this, we have a number of the per S3 bucket also. In your AWS account, CloudTrail is enabled or not. CloudTrail S3 data event is enabled or not. Log group encryption is enabled or not. So DynamoDB auto scaling is enabled or not. So DB instance, whether you enable database automated backup or not. Right. Similarly, we have EBS optimized instance. So EBS snapshot public restorable check is there or not. Table encryption, DynamoDB table got encrypted or not. So similarly, so this is EC2 instance profile attached or not. I told you every single instance in our AWS environment is going to be associated with a role. Instance profile is nothing but a role, guys. Instance profile is nothing but a role. So if any of the EC2 instance is not enabled with role, then it will treat that this role is non-compliant if no IAM role is associated to that EC2 instance. So search for S3. So here S3 bucket public read prohibited, public write prohibited, S3 bucket logging is enabled or not, S3 bucket level public access prohibited. So whenever you enable this, any bucket made publicly accessible, immediately we will get notification related to that. So bucket replication is enabled or not. Bucket versioning, if we don't enable versioning, then it will tell that this resource is a non-compliant resource. So similarly, we can choose these roles based on our requirement. But remember, every single rule is going to cost us. Every single rule is going to cost us. Then you can click on skip, then click on confirm. Whenever you confirm, so whatever the ones you enable, you are going to get all that here. Click on view dashboard, non-compliant resource, compliant resource, it shows all the resources here. For example, you can navigate to rules, resources. Here you can find, okay, I want to see what are the resources I have and all. So now I can go here. I can pick IAM user. I'm selecting IAM user. Now, these are the IAM users I have. But in my IAM screen, do I have all these users? No. But it is showing all the users. Why? Because my CloudTrail have all the logs related to these 4 users. But technically I have only 1 user. So these remaining users actually deleted. Now I want to see about this Avinash underscore the user. Click on that user. Whenever you scroll down, here we have an option called resource timeline. Click on that resource timeline. It tells us what exactly happening for this particular user. What are we doing? Everything it shows. So wait. See, on March 15th, this user have an event in CloudTrail. So we have deleted access key on March 15th. Updated access key. Right. On March 1st, I deleted a user policy. Similarly, see what exactly we perform for this user. Everything it is showing. So not only that user, you can pick any user, it will show you. So for example, you have a certificate. So you have a certificate, you want to see something related to that certificate. Then go and pick the resource timeline. It will show you, okay, this is what happened to this particular resource on this particular day and all such type of all events we are going to get. So This certificate is actually generated on December 31st, 2020. Okay. So that is a config usage. So we can record and we can evaluate all the configurations. So it is also inventory service of our AWS environment. If you want to create any custom resources, custom compliances, if we want to create any custom config rules, we can use cloud custodian. So you can create whatever you want. Not only that, like, config supported 96. Along with that, you can create your own one. Okay. Can I restrict access for users in my account from seeing the CloudTrail event history? I didn't get that question. So you have CloudTrail and it is going to tell us user what exactly he perform and all. And if you want to see what are the modifications or role changes or permission changes happen on that for that user, that we will get from config. I didn't get that question. Can you please elaborate more? So any questions on this AWS config, guys? Basically, it is going to cost us. So just try to understand how exactly it works and all. So any questions on config? All right. So then we have another service called AWS Trusted Advisor. So this AWS Trusted Advisor service, AWS Trusted Advisor. So name only telling you that it gives advices, and as AWS is giving, that's a trusted advice. See, I can even also give an advice related to AWS, but is that a trusted advice? Not sure. But AWS is giving an advice where you can save some cost in AWS environment, where we can improve the security, where we can improve the performance of our resources, where we can improve the costing mechanism on our resources. So whenever you navigate to this AWS Trusted Advisor, I'm navigating to AWS Trusted Advisor. So these are the areas it is going to give the suggestions. So where we can improve the costing mechanism, where we can improve the performance, security, and fault tolerance and service limits of our resources. We have a dashboard. We recently got a dashboard for the service limits actually. So now when coming to cost optimization, so whenever you navigate to this page, so it is here, observe all the graphs are going to be refreshed. So when you click on this cost optimization, whatever the resource you are using, underutilized resources, underutilized resources. So you created an EC2 instance, the CPU utilization is less than 10% from last 1 week. So technically you are not really using that resources, right? So what you can do, you can consider, like, downgrade the EC2 instance configuration. So similarly, you created a load balancer and you are not at all using it. You kept that in ideal state. Then, so you want to, so such type of things you can mention that here, it mentions that here. So you have unassociated elastic IP address, underutilized DBS volumes, idle load balancers, right? Idle DB instance and route 53 latency resource record sets. So, elastic is reserved nodes. So what are all the ones you're not really using that it lists here, then you can take action on that. When coming to performance, this is overutilized resources. When coming to overutilized resources, here you have some resource and that resource is running like 90% or more resource utilization, then we can see and we can consider upgrading the resources, right? Such type of one, large number of rules, ec2 security groups, and high utilization of your ec2 instance, it is 90% on 4 or more days, then it will tell us, okay, this resource is overutilized, why don't you consider to upgrade these resources. Security, so you have opened some ports for everyone, for entire world, so then that is not at all a recommended operation. So then what exactly it is, it gives that. And you made some publicly available snapshots, so then that is going to give that here. And RDS public snapshots S3 bucket, you made this public access, you created a couple of buckets publicly accessible, then it will show you that here. So do I have any public buckets? No, these all are the buckets. Public allow access? No, 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 no bucket is allowing public access, right? So similarly, are we using IAM user instead of root user? Yes. So if no IAM user is created, it is going to show yellow alert. And if you enable multi-factor authentication on your root account, that I told you in our starting stage. So, if you must enable, AWS recommend you to enable multi-factor authentication on our root account. So that we can go and we can check the status. How we can check the status? We can go here, we can find, these are the steps. So these are like, additional resource or recommended actions on our account. So that is security related. Fault tolerance, whether you're using load balancer and that load balancer EC2 instances is like, using multiple availability zones or not, whether we are creating snapshots on our account or not, VPN auto scaling group, and whether our resources are spread across multiple availability zones, whether we are taking backup, and whether we enable RDS multi-AZ or not, and such type of all things comes under fault tolerance. Service limit, as we know, we have a limit for many resources. If you are taking um, how many snapshots we can have in our AWS account, we can have these many snapshots. So So out of that, how many you currently using? So then you can see that here. So at a time, you can have only 40 running EC2 instance or 20 running EC2 instances, right? So how many IAM groups we can have? We can have, so 300 IAM groups. Out of that, how many groups we currently have? So if you want, you can just go and you can go to request a limit increase option. So then we can. However, we got like, service quota in AWS, you can just go there and you can perform like, what exactly you want. That is the service limit. So this is the dashboard. Periodically, we go here and we are going to inspect. And we are not able to get all the checks. The reason is we are in the basic support plan. Basic support plan gave, won't give all the status checks. It gives 7 core area checks on our AWS account. If we need all checks, choose minimum of like, choose the business or enterprise support plan. Either choose a business support plan or enterprise, then only. So basic or developer. These two support plans, no, as we are not paying much, AWS also won't give much suggestions related to that. So this is another service. And we have another service called Amazon PSD, Personal Health Dashboard. Where we can find that? So here you can find this bell symbol, right? Whenever you click on the bell symbol, it will show you. So what are the open issues? You can see open issues or closed issues or ongoing maintenances from AWS. PSD stands for Personal Health Dashboard. So here we can find Personal Health Dashboard. Go there and you can find what are the open issues in last 7 days and schedule changes and other notifications. What are the events? So for example, on April 7th, some issue is there related to Lambda in US West 2 region and it got closed. So ELB operation issue, load balancer operation issue is there. And do I have any resource that got affected? So if I have any resource, I'm going to get that here. So AWS Connect operational issues, Route 53 resolver operational issues, any affected resource, it will show you that here. No affected resource for this particular operation. Route 53 operational issues. So the status is closed at 5:02. It got started 5:35. It got closed. So any resource got affected in my account? No. So such type of all resources we can see. This is EC2 operational issue EU West 2. So such type of, right? So that is personal health dashboard. And if you want to see organizational view, so whenever you enable this organizational view, whenever you enable organizational view for AWS Health, how many accounts you have, those all accounts we can monitor what account resource is affected, those all we can see. For that we need to enable this, enable organizational view. So whenever you enable similar dashboard, so what exactly it is showing, so what exactly issue or event we are picking. So only thing here is whenever you click on affected resources, not only this particular resource, another AWS account resource also it is going to show. Nothing more than that for this organizational view. And most of the times we are going to enable this in our monitoring account, right? So that resource is a personal health dashboard, PHD we call it as. And when coming to another security thing, that is in our initial sessions we discussed about it, but I'm going to recap that. So AWS follows shared security responsible model, AWS shared responsibility model for the security. When coming to this shared responsibility model, not only AWS, we are also responsible for AWS security. Whatever the resource we are going to launch on top of AWS, we need to take care about that. And whatever the physical resource and all AWS contain, they are responsible for that resource. So security and compliance is a shared responsibility between AWS and customer. So this is a primary motto of the shared responsibility model. So for what resource, who is responsible? For that, we have a diagram. So this diagram explains that. About physical resources, regions, availability zones, edge locations, hardware, compute. So till software, till below OS, below operating system, what are all the resources we have or we are getting? Those all resources can be taken care by AWS. So that mechanism, we call it as a security of the cloud. So AWS is responsible for this. So AZs, data centers, regions, and physical resources like compute, storage, network and all. So then security in the cloud. So this off the and in the is important. Security in the cloud. So after launching your EC2 instance, see, you are making a security group open for everyone. So is AWS responsible for that? And you are not updating patches for your EC2 instance. Is AWS responsible for that? Definitely not, right? So such type of one. When coming to customer security in the cloud, operating system enabling encryptions, platform and your data and networking and firewall configurations. So that is customer responsibility. So IAM users, security policy, encryption, making resources public, and opening ports for everyone. So these all some we need to take care about as part of the security in the cloud. So this is very important, guys. In your cloud practitioner certification exam, you can definitely expect one question on this shared responsibility model. You can definitely expect a question on this, right? So that is another security point. So we have some services like, tomorrow we are going to discuss some important services. So today I can see very less guys join. So that's why we covered basic services. But tomorrow we are going to see what is Amazon Certificate Manager, how we can use for Elastic Load Balancer. So then what is the CloudFront distribution? So these are some important services. If time permits, we will discuss what exactly WAF and what exactly AWS Shield, right? So we will discuss about these services in our tomorrow session. So any questions for me on today's session, guys? And I'm going to share SEC2 answers here in our Slack channel. Please go through that. These are the EC2 document. And from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to share a quiz documents on every single day. So I want you to go through those quiz documents and I want you to have your answers, prepare your answers and all, right? So if you not yet perform this migration task and all, so please do that immediately.
Avinash, can you send the answers for S3 also?
Sure, definitely I'll do that. I need to search that. So okay, I'll share that. I'll search and I'll definitely share that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Avinash.
Yes, please.
Yeah, like for CloudTrail, can we keep any log for to not seeing the other users?
Yes, we can. For example, if you navigate to IAM, for example, you have an IAM user, he really don't want to access CloudTrail. So in that case, create a policy where we can restrict access on CloudTrail, create service, select the CloudTrail. I'm selecting CloudTrail. Now, are you creating this for allowing or denying? Switch to Denny. Now we are denying CloudTrail all operations. He cannot list, he cannot read, he cannot write. So then for all resources. So create this. So Denny CloudTrail. Now click on create policy. So now go and associate this policy to one of the IAM user. Navigate to users. For example, I'm going to associate this myself only. and I'm copying permissions directly any CloudTrail. Then click on review, add permissions. So for this Avinash underscore D user, even he have administrator access, I'm denying. So now let me try to view this CloudTrail. I'm navigating to CloudTrail. So when I click on this event history, see failed to get CloudTrail events. I'm not able to see, but sometime back, yes, I'm able to, right? When I even click on trail, unable to get trails, you don't have permission to perform this action. Whenever you're trying to click on trail, and for example, you try to create a trail, that is also not going to happen. Next,
Got it. Thank you very much.
create a trail. There you can see you do not have permissions, right? So with that, yes, we can. All right, so that's it for today's session, guys. See you again tomorrow. We're going to discuss some more security options tomorrow. So please spare some time and please practice. And I want you to practice that migration, database migration one, and that WordPress task. So that's it for today's session. See you again tomorrow. Thank you, guys.